This Let's Play was supported by these awesome hobby companies.
Hi folks, welcome to a Let's Play for Kings of War 3rd edition. I'm joined by the fantastic Rob and the gorgeous Matt from Mantic Games.
How come I'm fantastic and he's gorgeous?
Because he is gorgeous and at best you're fantastic.
Just born that way.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a little sort of Let's Play round breakdown for Kings of War 3rd edition, and hopefully for the experienced players they'll be able to see some of the things that are coming.
Yep.
And for people who have never come across Kings of War before, you'll be able to see probably my favourite rank and file big battle game, full stop. I'm not even going to say fantasy because it works very well for historics as well.
Yeah.
So, do you want to run us through what we've got out here at the moment then?
Sure. So, for this kind of small Let's Play, we've kind of mixed and matched a few units, so don't worry about the points for this one.
Yeah.
But I will be playing Dwarfs.
Okay.
Courageous. I mean, actually, as a Goblin player, this makes me feel slightly sick.
I can imagine it would. Yeah.
But I'm going to swallow my Goblin pride and play our mortal enemies, the Dwarfs. And you will be playing the Ogres, who have some Goblins, so I'll be sad to see them get wiped off.
Don't worry, I can imagine at no point will you ever wipe off those Goblins.
I'll keep missing them on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose. Yeah.
So we can run through some of the units because we've obviously got some different types. So rank and flank, as you'd expect, a lot of infantry. So I've got my ironclad here. And what I've done with mine is I've actually multi-based mine. Yep. So one of the big things in Kings of War is it's based on the kind of unit size for the different ones, so regiments, hordes, troops. So if you want, you can multi-base them, which is really nice. And what's the benefits of multi-basing, Matt?
Well, the reason you can do it is because Kings of War is an element-based game, rather than representing damage by removing models. You're accumulating damage as you go until you reach a breakpoint effectively. Advantages of multi-basing is that because you're element-based, then you've got single pieces to move around. So you don't have to worry about movement tray. You've got one piece. And people love to go to town with them. Sure. Creating scenery, dioramas, really creating a theme across their army on those multi-bases.
That's the thing, especially you really see it with a lot of the Kings of War armies, where you don't just get people putting the full 20 men in a 20-man unit. You can get 16 men on there and then have an interesting little diorama like some cannonballs bouncing through ranks and taking people out,
some dead goblins, that sort of thing.
Goblins, that type of thing.
So there's there's obviously the full model count, so you can represent all the models on the full footprint, or there's a preferred model count, which is 75% of your base.
So that's what I've gone for here. So I've got, normally this would be a regiment of 20. I've got 16 on there, but then with the sharpshooters here, I've got the full 5.
Okay. And I have a few things. So over here we have a unit of Ogre warriors with hand weapon and shield, and then I also have a little lone. Well, he used to be a captain. Is he still a captain? He's a sergeant. Sorry. Ooh, just a sergeant. That's terrible.
Well, they're only dwarfs. So
that is true. I have some boomers, so they rock big blunderbuss. I have my red goblins on flea bags. And that should be more than sufficient, I think, to hammer the dwarves.
I'm sure. So, and obviously what we were saying here is Matt's got his on individually based like this, so he can take them off. So the beauty of that is if you've got an existing army, let's say from another fantasy game, small lowercase f.
Or historic games.
You can quickly kind of use them in Kings of War, which is really good. And I think that's what we saw, certainly with 2nd edition, was people converting a lot of things. You've got options. You can either go the full hog with multi-basing or kind of go individual ones as well.
Excellent. Okay. So first thing is, it's not a standard I go, you go game in that there's no back and forth in an actual phase. It's all one side activates and goes and does everything. So you're kicking off here. Do you want to walk us through how that works then?
So I mean, I think the beauty of that is it makes it really good for tournaments because obviously everyone's on chess clocks and they can quickly time what they're doing. So what I will do is I will do my entire go. So I'll do the movement phase, the shooting phase, and then the melee phase. So what I will probably go through now is a bit of movement, so you can see how that will work, and then we'll go through some shooting as well. I don't think I'm going to get into the melee, so that's when you're going to whack me with your ogres, I feel.
I would hope not. At any stage, ogres are being outcharged by dwarves. Something's gone horribly wrong.
So if I go through a bit of... So when you're moving, so I'll start with these guys here, you've got a few options. You can kind of walk forward, standard. So my movement is 4, so I could walk forward 4. Before I move, I can pivot on the spot, so I can go like that, up to 90 degrees.
Yep.
So that's handy if you want to kind of obviously get into position to avoid flanks and things like that.
Sure.
And any turn in the move.
Yeah. So I could move
halfway.
forward. I can go forward at the double. So that would put me 8 inches. And you can measure whenever you want in Kings of War, which is really handy for avoiding charges. So if I went forward 8, that would end up just behind that Stone Priest here. I could move sideways. So if I really wanted to kind of reposition myself, I could kind of measure and go forward like that. Or as a goblin player, I can retreat as well. So I could just move.
Handy.
I could just move forward straight, move backward straight back.
Yeah. And when you go sideways and when you go backwards, they're at reduced movement, or are they still your full?
Half move, yes.
So half moves.
So these guys would be down to 2 inches.
Yeah, so not a lot of.
Yeah, that's good.
Which doesn't sound a lot, but to a dwarf, it's miles.
It is massive. It explains why they get this reputation for never taking a step back. It's just because they can.
Yeah, they're literally they've got to just keep going forward.
Just keep going forward, or that's it.
Okay. So what I'll do is for these ones, hopefully these guys can charge forward 12. Oh, so I'm not going to be. Wherever I move there, I'm going to be in a bit of bother. So I think what I'm going to do is to make sure I don't get any flank charges, I'm going to turn.
And when you pivot in like that in Kings of War, you do it on the centre of the unit, rather than on a corner and wheel.
Yeah, you're not wheeling yet. It's just an actual pivot.
Yeah, and I'll move forward 4 inches, ready to hopefully take a charge in the face. The rest, because I'm going to be shooting with these ones, so these have reload, which means I can't move and shoot. Obviously, I want to avoid that because I would quite like to shoot you. There's a new rule as well in 3rd edition, which is pot shot, which means you can kind of move and shoot as well.
Yeah. So some of the bigger weapons in the last edition of the game suffered from a reload. Yeah. Which obviously limited what the unit could do, but if you haven't got reload and you have got pot shot, you can move and fire, but it's a -2 modifier. So you've still got a chance to fire some weapons.
It stops you being complete, especially I suppose if somebody's coming into your flank or rear, and at that point you're almost lifting them off before they've even done their charge. At least now you can have a stab at defending yourself, I suppose.
So these ones in the middle here, let me just check. So I'd be able to charge 8 inches.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I am just out of your boomers there.
Well,
but again, terrible for you. I'm just going to move forward 4 inches.
Feel free.
Just going to tilt forward. My Stone Priest is just going to stick here, shaking his fist at you, saying, come on, bring it on. And then, like I say, the sharpshooters will stay there because they want to shoot. And I've got my Iron Belcher cannon there as well. So that would be my movement phase. Obviously, I haven't been able to charge in.
Yep.
Though I haven't left myself precariously in charge range for you.
Yeah.
So then what would happen is I'd end my movement phase and then we go on to the shooting phase.
Okay.
So it's all done at the same time, similar to this. So let's start with my sharpshooters here. So I've got a number of options here because luckily my sharpshooters have a range of 36 inches. So, I mean, look, easy. Yeah. No way, I could shoot miniatures off the table if I wanted. But I suppose I've got the problem of cover. So actually, sadly, because I've moved these ironclad forward, in their eagerness to get forward, they've actually kind of blocked the cover. So these now guys are in cover. So that would mean I'll be on -1 to hit. And also the goblins.
Yeah, now the hills are typically height 2, so all units have a height in the game. These guys are infantry; they're also height 2, so in total they're height 4. That's not high enough to see over the intervening terrain and ignore the cover. Okay. So as long as you're 3 height levels or more above, or the target is, then you can ignore that intervening terrain.
So for the likes of terrain, then you add the height of any units on it to the height of the terrain that they were standing on to get a new.
Yes,
that's
correct.
Interesting. Okay. So where do you want to go then?
Well, now luckily, my Stone Priest here, because he's an individual, he doesn't block line of sight.
Right.
So
not fat enough.
Poor fools here. No, he's just not tall enough. Although he is stood on a little bit of a rock, he's not quite there.
No.
So I'm going to shoot these ones here. So shooting again, you look at your kind of stats, and there will be different kind of attacks for troops, regiments, or hordes, and so we've cleaned up the way they're actually presented in the stat book as well, in the stats, to make it a lot easier, so you know very quickly what stats you've got, what dice you've got. So my sharpshooters, actually, they're quite easy because they only come in a troop. So I get 5 attacks. So I get my dice together, and then the way it works is what you do is you roll to hit first.
Sure.
So I would hit on 4s. And obviously, because there's no cover, I'm still hitting on 4s.
Yep.
If I had been going for the flea bags at the back there, that would have been on 5s. Likewise, they would have been on 5s as well.
Okay.
So hitting on 4s, these are all going to hit 100%.
Let's just remove our nerve dice.
Okay, and they'll definitely bounce out now. So needing 4s. Look at
Wow.
Oh, that's filthy.
Let's just stop and appreciate that for a moment. It's all going to go downhill from here.
That's it. You're done now.
So they've all hit, which is surprising.
It is a little bit surprising. So my Ogre warriors have got a defense of 5+.
Yeah, so now what will happen now is, like you say, your defense is 5. All of these have hit, so I now get to roll against your defense. So now if I've got piercing 2. So the way that piercing works is that lowers the amount that I need to score.
Okay.
So when you're shooting, it's piercing, and when you're fighting in melee, it's crushing strength.
Okay.
So normally I'd need 5s, but because of my piercing 2, it's 3.
Okay.
These are all going to hit.
Those are 1s and 2s now.
Yeah, that's what we're after.
Exactly.
There we go. That's exactly what we got.
So remove all the.
Yep.
So I get 1.
Yeah, there's an awful lot to remove there. It looks very lonely.
Yeah, it is very sad. It was going so well. So now, like we were saying, because it's the way you track wounds is you can use a dice. So you could put like a number 1 behind it as well, if you wanted, with the dice there.
Yep.
Or what a lot of people do is they use like wound counters like this. These are yours, Matt, aren't they? They look like polos, but they're not quite.
Yeah.
So put 1 on there.
Some people use gems, some people have little wound dials, that sort of thing. The way I do it, I've got white ones represent just the 1, and then once you get to 5, you put a red.
Put a red one on instead.
Yep.
Okay.
So rather than removing the units, what I'll do is in a moment I'll do a nerve check.
Okay.
So that's to kind of represent, obviously getting shot in the face is going to shake you up a bit.
Sure. Yeah.
So it may not be that they always are getting injured, it may be that they're actually just kind of a bit
They're losing,
shocked.
they're losing a bit of motivation. They're losing a bit of regimentation as well. They're disordered.
It's it's the slow deterioration of that unit physically and emotionally.
Emotionally, yeah.
So they're like they might be in tears.
Not as emotional if they'd all actually managed to wound me, mind you.
I think one thing to notice with what we just talked about with the piercing and the crushing strength, so those are special rules that obviously affect the game and the way that units behave. One thing we've done in this edition is take those special rules, if they only apply to a weapon, it's now part of that weapon's profile.
Okay.
I think in the previous edition there had been some confusion where something might have said, a unit said piercing 1, obviously it was the weapon that was giving it, but it looked like it was the unit as a whole.
Yeah.
So we've just cleaned that up in terms of how the profile's displayed.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of a general kind of cleaning up to make it a lot kind of, I mean, it's fairly streamlined anyway, as we'll see. We'll kind of cover the actual moves in quite a quick time. But yeah, to kind of streamline it so it's very good for tournaments and kind of just clean up a lot of the bits like that and kind of make it even quicker if that's imaginable.
If that's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're shooting all done?
No. Nice try. So I've also got my cannon up here. Now, the cannon ignores cover. So I've got a few options here. Is that right, Matt? You're looking confused.
No, it doesn't.
No,
you've got the shattering.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
Instead.
I'm thinking I'm going back to goblins.
You're thinking of something that lobbed, aren't you?
So I can have a look.
Indirect there.
Yeah. So I can have a look at my arc of fire here. So obviously I can shoot this one here. Those again, but they'll be in. Actually, will they be in cover from the ironclad there?
So when a unit fires, it can fire into its front arc, which is 90 degrees out from its front corners, from its front facing. And as long as you've got line of sight, which you measure from, your leader point is at the centre of the front.
So the centre of the cannon or the centre of the regiment.
So you take your line of sight from the leader point into your front arc, but you measure your range between the closest points of the, of the units.
So that's a little bit different. So in this case, if you can see this, you've actually got quite a big spread from here all the way around to that other unit there. So you've an embarrassment of riches there.
Oh, what do I do? Now I've got 2 options actually on my iron belt. So I've got the standard kind of cannon, which will just shoot like a normal cannon, or I've got the grape shot, which is like a kind of smaller. I guess they just load it with whatever they've got and fire, a bit like a blunderbuss.
Yeah, it turns into a massive blunderbuss.
But I've only got a range of 12 inches on that one, whereas I've got a range of 48 on the other one. So And I could hit your captain there.
Remember, he's just a sergeant.
Sergeant, sorry, yeah.
Don't waste captains on
okay.
dwarves.
Yeah, as much as I would love him to be a captain, apparently he's not.
In that case, I'm going to hit these guys again. I'm going to put a few extra wounds, because that's the benefit of the ranged ones. You can keep putting wounds on the same one.
Okay, so more back into the warriors then?
Yeah, I don't like the look of these.
No.
These are my greatest enemy at the moment.
That's very unreasonable, I feel.
So what I do, again, same way it works is I have to roll to hit first.
Okay.
So the Iron Bolts has got 2 attacks, and I'm hitting on 5s.
Okay. And no modifiers because there's no cover in the way?
No, so they're fine.
Okay.
So hitting on 5s. These are both going to hit.
One hit.
One
hit. It's one more than I wanted.
So now it's slightly different in terms of how many dice I roll to actually wound you, because it's got D3 plus 1. Okay. So you'll find a lot of the war machines, and actually some things like the giants or the mincer mob, for example, for the goblins, have extra, they might have kind of differing attacks, so you're never quite sure. You might hit 3 shots, or you might get 6, something like that, if you're lucky.
You get a bit of randomization.
Sometimes exactly. Sometimes that's representing the randomness of that unit and its behaviour. Sometimes, with this, it's because of the blast special rule that's given them that variable attack.
I do ignore cover with my Iron Bolts cannon.
Well, so you
were misinforming me. So anyway, I would have gone for these guys anyway. So, okay, so D3 plus 1. So it's 3. So it'll be 3 hits.
Yeah, 2 plus 1. Yeah, I like it.
Now I've got piercing 3.
So my defensive 5, not quite as good.
No, it crumbles to a measly 2.
Yeah, doesn't matter when you roll 3 ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got 3 this time.
Okay,
that's
so 3. Better. That's not ideal for them, it has to be said. So now up to 4.
Yeah, there we go. So I'll pop my more polo mints on the back there. And now what we do is we test, like I said earlier on, we test for the nerve check. So if I'd hit multiple units, you'd kind of test for the nerve at the end of the ranged round. But in this case, I've just hit these guys here, and now I need to roll for nerve.
Okay then, so nerve test is required.
Yeah.
My lovely ogres, which definitely aren't going to run off.
Well, hopefully not, because that would kind of ruin the rest of the rest of your go. But so the way nerve check works is, so what is your nerve value?
So my warriors now, I actually have a list of 3 here.
Okay.
This is a regiment. No, this is a horde. So I've got a mighty nerve of 15-17.
Yikes. So the first number there, 15, is what I'd need to waver them.
Okay.
So wavering is when they're not routed, they're kind of a bit obviously traumatized by what's happened, so they have to stand there and kind of compose themselves.
By being shot by a cannon?
I'd be fairly traumatized if I got shot by a cannon. So 17 is the target I would need to actually wipe them off. So what I do now is I roll 2 dice, and whatever I roll, I add the number of wounds that you've got.
So it's all about stacking up damage on the target to remove them.
Yeah, and the big thing to mention is if I get double 6, which I definitely will, no matter what, you would be wavered. Okay. Even if I wasn't theoretically hitting your wave one. And if I get double 1, then you're fine.
Everything's peachy.
Yeah.
We're all fine here.
Yeah, so,
now,
so here we go.
Don't forget you've got your shattering rule on here.
Oh yes,
adds
of course.
a bonus 1 to this roll.
So shattering is
that's new.
Yes, so some of the weapons, obviously, that, like we say, a cannon, getting hit in the face with a cannon is going to cause some damage.
Fairly shattering,
So that's similar to the brutal rule. So just like we had piercing worked against the defense with shooting, and crushing strength works in melee, you've got the same thing here. So shattering is the equivalent of melee's brutal, which is adding to the nerve dice.
Is it always a standard amount, or does it vary depending on what's doing?
Shattering is always +1.
Okay.
Brutal now in this edition is actually variable. It has an M value. So by default, if it doesn't say, it's exactly like it was in an old edition, and it's just +1.
It's just +1.
But if it's got an N value after it, then it could be a fixed or a variable amount.
That's nice.
So that opens up some options for the future. I think a lot of what we've done in 3rd edition is
future-proofing.
Yeah, things like keywords, for example. Although they don't have a lot of use kind of at the minute.
There's a few in there.
Actually, but the trolls and things like that.
But I think what we'll do is as we evolve the game and bring formations in and new spells and things like that, they'll start to use those keywords more and more.
Yeah. It's nice that they're there in advance, so you're not scrambling around.
Well, that was we decided with the RC. We said we'll put them in now, otherwise it will get confusing when we start adding them later.
Okay. So 2d6 plus 5, actually 4 for damage and the shattering.
Okay, so this is going to be 2 6s. Oh, so it's
12, so you're nowhere near your 15 that you
no.
needed.
So yeah, only got 12.
So those
poor.
guys
Very
are
poor.
steady, they're fine.
Yeah,
We're all fine here.
so they'll still keep the wounds, and they'll keep kind of racking up. Now, what I could have done, because obviously I've got my Stone Priest in the middle here. He's a magic user. There's no magic phase. You just kind of use your magic. You shoot your magic in the kind of ranged phase as well. Here, he's got Surge, which sadly I've got no Earth Elementals. So Surge means I can actually push them forward and move them, which is very good for shambling units in the undead. He's got Bane Chant. Now, Bane Chant is I can cast onto my own units, and it gives them crushing strength.
Okay.
But Bane Chant's changed a little bit, hasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, so previously, and it's gone through some iterations, but previously Bane Chant would either give crushing strength like it does now, or it would also give piercing. So for ranged attack, so people like to cast it onto their hordes of archers, etc. It now only gives crushing strength.
Okay.
So that's been removed.
And does that mean it's gone forever? Are we going to see a little piercing type spell then as well? Or?
Possibly, as I say, one of the things we're probably looking at in the future is obviously to develop spells, do new spells. We've got spell casting tiers as well, which is one of the things we've also put into future-proof things. So more powerful spells might come out, but they might be limited to what spell casting tiers can use them, that sort of thing. So something like the equivalent for that's granting piercing, it
can be quite devastating. So making it top tier and stopping any elf from ever using it would be ideal.
I mean, stopping elves from using anything.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed that nobody likes the knife ears. Yeah. I think pointed sticks is probably too much.
Or poetry, maybe.
Poetry, they could come at you with a banana. That'll be fine. Okay, so that's your nerve check, your movement, shooting, no magic. So
I'm done. So I've done my movement phase. I've done my shooting phase. I've got no melee because I couldn't quite make it with my little short dwarf legs.
Tiny legs.
So now it would be over to you.
Over to me. Okay, I'm all for that. So I've got options here. Obviously, I've got boomers. So these are essentially combat shotguns, but they're still ogres holding those massive blunderbuss.
Yeah.
So potentially, I could stand off and shoot, or I could go in for a double charge, backing up the mob beast. Fleabag riders there. Decisions. I have an embarrassment of riches here.
I know.
As far as you've given me everything, and I want it all.
Well, it's because these are the kind of guys coming out first. As the story we've set for this one is that you've invaded my beer festival.
That would make sense.
But they've all emerged from their caves. These are the first ones, the ones that were least drunk. So they've come out first.
Perhaps the most drunk.
Oh, maybe they were kind of stuck in.
Yeah.
So they've come out first. So you can take these guys out. I don't mind.
Right. Well, in that case.
So this guy, your sergeant down here, has got he's got two options really. If he's going to charge, so he could charge these guys. When you charge into your front arc.
Yeah.
So you have to have line of sight to your target. So he could charge one or two.
Yeah. So I could charge here, or I could charge up the hill.
Yeah. So you could charge these guys in the flank. Now what that does means you get double your attacks.
Yeah.
Or you could charge if you're in range, which you're allowed to measure. You could charge the war engine there. Attacks against war engines typically are ×3 attacks. So it's like a triple attack. So you'll get an awful lot against that guy and potentially take it out.
So I have a speed of 6 and he's only 8 inches away, so that's very doable.
So that's fine.
Which is always nice.
If you were to charge these guys in the flank, you'd be going over that obstacle, that
so
wall. Then you'd therefore be hindered, which would be -1 to hit.
Okay. Right. That's all interesting. Now, I want to see where I am over here though. So if I want to go in there,
so
you're definitely in range.
Yeah. But you're out of range of these ones. I measured that.
So what have you got there?
Well,
that's
you
there.
measured badly because that's 12.
In the previous edition.
What?
So we said earlier that you have to charge into your front arc and that you need line of sight. In the previous edition, what you did is you measured from the leader point, which was that centre point right at the front.
Of this.
And as long as your target was within double your speed or less, then you were within range. What we've done now in this edition is we've opened it up to the whole of the front of that base, the whole of the front of that arc. So you could measure from the corner.
In which case,
what is this madness?
But in the old,
so you would have been out.
By
you'd have been out in the old edition, but you're
Yeah.
actually in, which is a great benefit to the things like the dwarves, because it gives them that extra bit of charge range, which they were lacking before. Or unfortunately, in this case, they're now going to potentially take the charge. So yeah, it opens up a lot more scope for charges.
Yeah.
So people are going to have to rethink a little bit about how they position.
Especially for the slower moving armies,
Yeah.
that centre point charge meant often they were receiving a charge, they were having to suck it up.
Yeah.
Now, in previous editions, he's an individual, and if I slam into him and overrun, it's a d6 to get through him, because I could potentially finish him in one turn and then go into a new combat.
Yep, and then
And that'll still happen now, right, Matt? I'm still safe.
Well, you'd hope so, Rob. So individuals have now got, by default, are what we call yielding.
Right.
So they can't stop that kind of charge. So those ogres charging towards them, he's too weak and puny, or drunk.
He just got pushed out.
He's got a hammer.
That's just for knocking taps into kegs.
Yeah.
That's not for fighting with.
So he's yielding, so he will no longer be able to stop them moving through. So as long as he's far enough away and they can fit in the space behind him, they can just go straight through.
Right, so they still potentially could be used as speed bumps.
What happens if my king came out?
Well, your king has a different.
sorry,
your
not a lord,
has a different rule. Now he's mighty, which means that he isn't yielding.
Right.
So the individuals that are mighty, so your lords, your big generals, things like that, can still take a charge and block.
So you've got essentially tiers within the actual individuals and
so what people were doing before, you can't put your cheap old standard bearer in the way and stop someone getting to your horde or your gun line or something like that.
What flag it would do that? Flag it.
So you can, so what people used to do in the previous edition, they'd make sure that their individual was perhaps further than 6 inches away, so to stop the charge, and then an overrun wouldn't be able to get. Now, because you can only stop them if you've got enough space, you're going to have to keep those units. If you do want them to block, they're going to have to be much closer to the target, and it's going to be much harder to position and do it.
Okay. Does that mean overrun's gone for individuals completely?
No, it's still there.
It's still there.
If they decided they did want to charge him, and then he was close enough, that would still go through.
And that offers up an awful lot of tactics as well, where you don't want to be so far forward that yielding will mean they'll just get pushed out of the way, but you don't want to be so close that you're almost going to...
You're exposing yourself to an
overrun. Yeah.
So in an overrun, if that individual dies from that charge, when that unit regroups, it can move d6 forwards if it wishes to. If they hit another unit, then they fight again straight away.
Okay.
So if you've chained up your individuals, they can just run through them all.
Keep going through them all. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to do a bit of charging then, because it
would have been nice to tell me this,
always for that,
Matt, before you let me.
But you should have taken tips from Ron. He knows all the clever things to do, and I'm pretty sure. Positive he's heard of Kings of War.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Okay, so I'm going to come in here.
When you charge, you've got one pivot, which you can do at any point. Now you have to take the shortest, most direct route.
Okay.
So that will be just basically a pivot and then straight forwards.
Yep.
So then move it. Now the actual distance you as long as you were within charge range,
12 at the start,
actual distance you move doesn't actually matter. So you can move around, other enemy units and things like that.
So pick up and place.
Fine. So you pick up and place it. So as long as you're still touching the point where you contacted, that's fine.
Right.
And then you slide your leader points together as close as you can to get them lined up with each other down the middle.
Because I'd hate for the pull-ments to be left behind.
3 stages. So once you've measured it and you know that it's a valid charge, you move them into contact. You place them and align them, and then you shuffle them to their final position.
Okay, cool. So, boomers with their blunderbuss, previously breath weapons, and they ignore intervening terrain. No longer the case? No,
so breath as a rule has gone, so it's just back to a number of attacks.
Okay.
So spells that used to have breath weapons, and then there was, throughout the Clash of Kings books, we changed whether they did get cover, didn't get cover, all that sort of thing. We've cleaned all that up, so every spell now says explicitly whether it's cover affects it or not.
Okay.
And then we've taken breath out as a special rule in total. So you just got your attacks as it says on there.
So in this case, I do have my attacks. I've still got my piercing and my 12-inch range. I have a steady aim though, which is new.
Yes. So if a unit moves and shoots, it's at -1, as long as it hasn't got reload or something like that, which prevents it from doing it entirely. If you've got steady aim rule, you can move and shoot without penalty.
Okay.
So these guys can just walk up and keep shooting. Yeah.
That's interesting. I take it that has more or less replaced nimble then, because nimble didn't suffer the penalties for movement when shooting.
Yeah, and you've also got it. We've also put it. It's the one that we've put on some of the bigger weapon platforms, like the slasher and things like that.
Right, okay.
Because they're with a range of only 5. As soon as you move it, you're onto 6s. But that's a big, heavy, steady platform.
Okay.
So they typically have steady aim.
So I have a range of 4+. I could shoot, but I'll take the minus for the wall. I could walk over the wall, but then I'd be very close, although no longer in cover. I think I'll just charge over that wall.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to go for a double charge. So I'll throw the goblins in as well, because that's all they're useful for, is to be thrown into combats.
Okay. So in a multiple charge, you declare all the units that are going to be involved in the multiple charge at the same time. Then you obviously check whether they all can get in.
Yeah. So they're both within
all
range.
in the front arc or within range, etc. You move the first one, the second one. They have to stay in their relative position, so they can't swap over. The red goblins can't end up over this side and these guys over this side.
Okay.
But you move them in. You follow exactly the same thing. So you move in, place them, move them to what will be their final position.
Set him there for the time being.
And you're looking to share as equally, proportionally as much of the
I'm just going to
possible.
remove that, because I'm going to come over that and I don't want to balance these on top.
So both of those have gone over obstacles, so they will both be hindered.
Would they end up sliding
slightly like that? Yeah, I mean they've got slightly bigger frontage, but you're sharing it as proportionally as equally as possible.
I'll tidy up my wall behind it.
Now, if you declared someone and they were coming in from the side, you move all the units that are coming in on the same facing first, and then the other ones move in. So you can't. So once you've aligned everyone else up, you might then not have space to do the ones coming in the side, for example. Yeah. So for multi-charge, you really have to think about the order you want to do them in. If you find that you suddenly then can't charge in because there's no room, then that unit then gets a different order. Okay. So it's not prevented from doing something else just because they had charged and somebody walked in front of them. They could then change. Yeah. They could change to a new target, a different order. Okay. No, I'm happy enough with going in there on the front. I think this is going to go away though. That's how we're doing this. So we're going to come up the hill, and I know I'm in the charge arc. And I've been very generous to you here, Gerry, to make sure you could basically charge everyone. Yeah. Well, you haven't seen my dice rolls, have you? No, don't worry. Nothing is going to die here. Nothing. Because I'm nothing if not terrible at rolling dice. So everybody's in. Everybody's looking good. I think it's time to smash some faces. Yep, you're not going to have a shooting phase because all your guys are in combat. Yeah. So, well, you win some, you lose some, I suppose. Yeah. Famed as ogres are for shooting. Well, they were, but not so much. They got overexcited. Yeah. Okay. So where will we start? We'll start actually. This one seems to be the simplest. Yep. Which is Sergeant into War Machine. Yep. So he has a mighty 5 attacks normally. Yep, and which you're going to triple against that War Machine. So it's a huge 15. So 15. His most direct route didn't take him over that wall, so he's not hindered in any way. Fine. All right. That'll be half the red dice. I've definitely given you the right dice there, don't worry. Oh, yeah. Very trustworthy. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you are. I have utmost faith. If I could count above 10 without using my fingers, I would check, but I can't, unfortunately. So, Sergeant has a melee of 3+. Yep. And no other modifiers. Nope. So go for it. Oh, there's a few ones and twos. No, that's much better than usual for me. Much, much better than usual. So removing the misses, which is the easiest way to do it, I guess. I think so. So that leaves me with slightly under 9. Average, but yeah. Yeah. Now, do you have any crushing strength? He does have crushing strength of 2. What's your defense? My defense is 5. So down to 3s. That's excellent news. Oh wow! Only 2 went away. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage on that. Okay, so I haven't got any fancy polos. No. Like Matt, so I'm just going to put a couple of dice there. So I've got 7 wounds on that one. Okay, and with melee combats, you do the nerf checks immediately, unlike shooting where it's at the end of the phase? Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So what it means is you might want to then carefully choose the order of the combats you want to do.
Yeah.
You might want to take out an inspiring unit or something first, or take out something so you know there's space for other things to move into. So, but as it's your turn, you get to choose the order.
You
of the
get to choose the
combats.
order. So I'm rolling 2d6 plus 7.
Yep.
Plus he has a brutal as well.
Yep.
So that's another
So there's
1.
no end value on that. So
No.
it's 1 by default.
Okay, so I'm looking at a plus 8. Have the delightful nerve dice.
So my nerve is 10, 12.
So good luck.
Yeah. We all know this is going to be a double one.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be brilliant. Oh, no.
You destroyed.
Well, that's one way of doing it. Yeah.
So even if I wasn't kind of, even if you hadn't destroyed me completely, then I would have been wavered anyway. But as it is,
that's all right.
Now, this hasn't changed at all. So there are some units will have the inspiring special rule. So if your unit that's routed like that is within range, 6 inches of an inspiring unit, which is usually something like a general or a standard bearer, that dice that test gets re-rolled.
Okay.
Sadly, I haven't. My Stone Priest isn't very inspiring.
No. Right, so your ogre's wiped them out. He's now got a choice. He can stay there and turn to face any direction.
Yep.
Or he can go backwards D3 inches or forwards D6.
I don't know why I would ever go backwards. I don't expect those sharpshooters to be there next turn.
You could always turn around ready to charge these guys in the back.
I'm actually going to turn him.
Don't know why I'm giving you advice.
So I've got a choice here. Well,
run away.
If I turn him to here, I've got the choice of the rear of this if I don't break it, or this delightful fellow if he's still wandering about with a lost look on his face.
Yeah, topless.
Kind of looks like at the moment. Yeah.
He obviously, because he came straight out, he forgot to put his t-shirt on.
Yeah. If only he'd remembered to stay in. Okay. So next up then, going to go for the sharpshooters and the warriors.
Oh dear, how many attacks is that?
For my horde, it is a mere 18.
Okay, so how many have you got there? So you need 3 more.
15.
Yeah, I should still have 15. I don't think anybody's stolen any from me. And I have a melee of 3 up again. And again, no hindering here.
Correct, yep.
So.
In the presence of the naked stone priest didn't.
Oh, that was very well done
affect
for me.
them.
Plenty of 2s and 1s. To get that.
Above average this time.
Oh, well, there we go. I'll take that all day long. I have a reduced crushing strength of only 1 this time.
My defense is 5.
So down to 4s.
So 4s.
Oh
my word.
Check these dice, please.
Well, you did say they were the right dice.
Yeah. I have to say, normally Lloyd bakes all of our dice.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9. Oh dear. So my nerve is 9, 11.
Yep, and remember you are brutal again.
I have brutal again, so that really gives me
So you're
10.
adding 10, yes.
Yikes.
Double 6s again, please. No.
Yeah, so
I'll take the
17.
no inspiring.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning, just in case I get completely wiped out here, that what would happen previously, if you hadn't managed to destroy me, you would have had to bounce back 1 inch.
Yes.
Yeah. So we kept a physical separation to show which units weren't engaged.
But now that's gone.
Gone away.
So no matter, once you're in combat, you stay engaged unless you disengage, but you would just stay in base to base for the next round as well. So
I imagine we'll see that when I bounce against the other unit of dwarves.
Just
anyway.
not that I'm nervous, but I am mildly nervous. But yeah, I thought I'd mention it now, just in case.
Okay.
But before these,
in the meantime, lift those people off. Get rid of them.
oh dear.
But that bounce back could cause some problems with positioning and units and stuff. And if you couldn't move back, then you nudged your enemy back, and then there was just getting rid of that has just cleared up and speeded things up.
I imagine it would do. You also had that sort of thing where people would specifically charge in, and then because charges happen in whatever order you wanted, they would then position something behind them, so that they knew that they weren't going to be bounced back, forcing the enemy away. And I'm not going to say it was gamey because it was part of the game, but it did overly complicate things for some people. So again, I could go forward. I don't think I will. I think they're just going to pivot on the spot.
Oh dear.
It's our hill now.
A juicy flank there.
Yeah, look at our hill. Everybody enjoys our hill. So, this then, we have 2 separate units and they're both hindered coming in.
Yes, so they'll both be on -1 to hit.
And that's just a standard across the board for hindered.
Yep.
So my Red Goblin Scouts have a delightful 14 attacks. So 3, 5, 10.
Now, because they normally, if you have a look at their special rules, they have a rule called Thunderous Charge. Now, that's similar to Crushing Strength in that it reduces the defense or what you need to roll against defense. But if you're hindered, you lose 1 point of it. Now, they only have Thunderous Charge 1, so it's
so it goes away.
They've stripped it. Yeah.
It goes away entirely. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can
if you had Thunderous Charge 2, you'd be down to Thunderous Charge 1.
Okay.
Yep.
And my melee's 4 up normally, but -1 for the hindering.
So 5s. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's doable. That's not going to be a problem.
Feel free to miss all these ones, Gerry.
Not going to be a problem for these righteous goblins at all. Well, that's more like me.
Yeah.
So that's...
They know secretly it's me playing.
Yeah.
They're like,
so 5 hits.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I mean, that's a shame.
Oh, yeah.
So Ironclad, they're a bit better. They've got defense 5+.
Okay. And I've got no Thunderous now, so just 5s.
Yep.
One. That is much better. So I'm going to put my little dice behind there.
Yeah. You put your little dice behind there. Don't worry, I'll be adding to the little dice with these brave fellows. They have combat shotguns, but they're still ogres. They're still beefy. They're still tasty. They'll do the job.
If they're not shooting them, they're hitting them with the big guns.
Yeah. It's easier than reloading in many respects, I imagine. They have 9 attacks. They have a melee of 4 up, so a bit worse than the out-and-out fighters, and it's also going to 5s for the hindered charge. But Crushing Strength isn't negated by the hindered. They
Correct.
Always get that. Okay. So 5s again. Oh, that's better.
4, 5.
Oh, we'll take that.
Just as good as the goblins.
We'll take that all day long.
And then again, my defense is 5+.
But my crushing of 1 brings that down to a 4. So 3.
3.
So you've got 4 wounds on these now.
Okay. Now, going to be rolling the nerve check again.
Yeah, it's still only a single nerve check for that whole combat.
For the whole combat,
Yep.
2d6 plus 4. I still have brutal, even though everybody in the unit or everybody in the combat
as long as at least one of the units has brutal, you'll still get it.
And do you just take the highest, or do you add them, or because now you've got
it's not cumulative, so it's just the highest, which in this case is obviously just the 1.
Well, that's a bit of a shame. I was hoping with levels of brutality now that I'd be able to stack brutalisms. Be very brutalist.
So I'm 14, 16.
14, 16, and I've got a +5 to this. 10.
Fine.
So in this case, we will be just pinned in combat there.
Yep. So you remain engaged. You don't bounce back like before.
And the disengage, is that part of a movement in subsequent phases? Then is it something that you choose to do?
Yeah. So that unit has got a choice in its next turn. So it can either choose to countercharge, and it will be against one of those units. In which case, it just moves into place.
Yeah.
You declare that countercharge, or it could disengage, which means it can move back effectively. Withdraw the 1 inch, and then you can issue it a new order.
All right. So
you're almost delaying that bounce back until it's your turn.
Yeah, and then you can choose. If you see a flank approaching, or it's somebody who's a bit easier to deal with, or you could even pull back to allow somebody else who's a bit more aggressive to charge and move them out of the way.
Yep.
Okay, so my turn's all done and dusted. There's not really much you can do, is there? It's looking kind of brutal for you.
Yeah, so maybe I'll graciously admit defeat here. Yeah. But, so just have a look. We were just checking then. So if when we're talking about line of sight, unfortunately, my guys, their line of sight would be kind of past those.
The arc of sight. So line of sight is effectively from the leader, and is effectively then 180. But even though he could see that unit, it's not in the front arc, so he can't charge it.
So it would actually be going past me.
Yeah.
So in this case,
they'd get up ahead of steam, and then they'd just run straight past you, basically.
Yeah. Or I suppose they could spin on the spot and prepare to receive a charge.
So I'd probably end up spinning like that, so there to receive you. Although I don't fancy my chances doing much. And then, like we say, so these guys would be able to countercharge. So what would happen then is I'd choose which one. I'd probably go.
You'd go for the ogres, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I wouldn't.
In your heart of hearts.
I wouldn't. I couldn't bring much. So they would slide across like that. Sadly, though, that does then open them up to the flanks.
Let's go. Subsequent phases.
So I think they're destroyed. So let's just say the kind of the vanguard of my dwarf army has been destroyed, but I've got these guys in the back. They're just coming out of their houses, and they're going to definitely wipe you out.
Definitely wipe me out later on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was quite an interesting playthrough. Obviously, from my point of view, I've played the previous editions. For people who haven't, it's interesting to see how the game mechanics work, but I think the changes are going to be the most interesting thing for a lot of the old school players. It's not a complete demolition and reconstruction. It's just sort of an advancement and an evolution of the rules.
Yeah, and that was one of the design principles that we set ourselves and to the rules committee was this is an evolution of the game, not a revolution of the game.
Okay.
It still needs to feel like Kings of War, but obviously with some subtle changes and things just to freshen things up, streamline some things. Get rid of some of those bits that were kind of, those burrs that you want to polish off, and give people a new challenge.
Okay. Well, folks, we're going to move on. I'm hoping to get Rob against Matt to see who actually wins, a bit of a grudge match between them. But let us know in the comments below what you think of Kings of War 3. If you've an old player returning or wanting to see where Kings of War 3 is going. If you have any questions, let us know below and we'll do our best to answer them. And we'll be back soon.
We hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.